Greetings. Believe it or not, this is a yellow shirt rather than a white shirt. Just letting you know that. One of these years, I'm going to figure out lighting a little better than I have so far. But that's not what we're going to talk about. What I want to talk about today is self-promotion. You know, there was a lady named Peggy Kloss, and I'll put a link down below so you can see her book. It was called Brag. I've got it somewhere in this house. I just have way too many books. Anyway, one of the things she talked about was how most of us, at least my generation, I think it still happens now, we're taught not to talk about ourselves. If you win something or you've done something really good, you're told, don't brag about it. Don't do anything that's going to make you look like you're conceited. Just act like it didn't happen. Let people, if they want to say something about it, that's fine, but you shouldn't talk about it. You should just kind of let it go. And so that's what a lot of our generation, my generation, grew up doing. We didn't talk about our accomplishments if we had them. Now, I had a bunch of different accomplishments. I'm going to tell you a couple of them right now. In my thumbnail, you see I'm holding a bowling pin because I used to be pretty good. Now, once I moved from northern Maine, there were a lot of people who turned out to be better than me. But where I was kind of a big dog. I used to be in national magazines early in the year. I had tons of trophies. As a matter of fact, for all the years that I bowled, almost 30 years of bowling, I had tons of trophies all over the place. I used to win, like on Thanksgiving, where you would bowl and you would win turkeys for Thanksgiving. I used to always win the turkeys. They had some Christmas holiday thing where they gave away bottles of Canadian whiskey. I almost always won that. I gave them away because I didn't drink. And, Turkey Day was just me, mom, dad, and my grandmother, and they would give me this giant turkey. We couldn't do anything with that. So sometimes I gave those away. Actually, most of the time I gave them away. Still, I won a lot of those kinds of things. I won awards in school for a whole bunch of years. Let's just say I won a lot. But I didn't really talk about it all that much at the time. I kept all my trophies all over the place, but I didn't talk about it because you weren't supposed to. Well, this Peggy class came up with this thing where she said that we were always told not to talk about ourselves, but in this day and age, if we don't talk about ourselves, if we don't talk about our accomplishments, then we're just expecting that someone else is going to know how good we are when they really don't. Because most of the time, people you report to or people you're trying to get as clients, if you're someone like me who's self-employed, they have no idea what it is you do. So I can sit there and say, well, you know what? I work in healthcare. I help hospitals make money. And if I stop right there, that means nothing to anybody. However, if I say to someone, one year, this project I was working, I helped this hospital increase their revenue by $730 million. All of a sudden, that sounds like a big deal. And that's true, by the way. Actually, it was $731 million, but I rounded off. Anyway, that's true. So you have to open up and sometimes tell people some of your accomplishments. That's the only way that people look at you and say, hey, you know what? Maybe this is someone I should listen to or reach out to for some kind of assistance or to pay them for services here and there. For instance, one of the things I like to tell people now is that I've got about 6,000 articles online all over the place. A bunch of those don't have my name on them because I've written for other people, but I've written at least 6,000 articles. On my own blogs, I'm close to 4,000. So, I can look at that. I've been blogging for 12 years. Let's see, what is this? I started in 2005. Oh my God, 14 years. I've been blogging for 14 years. I've written 2 books. I have to tell people that because it shows that I have some competence in doing something. I've been in healthcare for 35 years. It'll be 36 in August. I can tell people that. You have to sometimes talk about yourself. When I was an employee, now, because of what I did for folks, what I did for my hospitals, people kind of knew what I did. But I had a situation one year where I didn't get a raise. And I got this rating and I said, wait a minute, how did I get this low rating? So I wrote up all my accomplishments, which I had for the year. I had tons of accomplishments because it's just what I did. Now, I didn't brag about them because I didn't think I needed to. But in this particular instance, I wrote them all down. I went and I met with the VP of Finance. We went to lunch together. And I said, I want you to read this. So he looked at everything that was on my list. This was a 3-page list. And he said, yep, you did all that stuff. I said, okay, so if that is like above average, then what's up with this ranking here? And what he said was, well, we expect you to be above average, and that makes you average. Stupidest thing you've ever heard. Of course, this was after the hospital had passed the merit raises. I was already the highest paid director at the place. So I knew I shouldn't have gotten a raise. Well, I earned it, but I knew, they had to spread it around. I knew how the system worked, but it is what it is. My gripe was I didn't want that kind of thing on my record, but everyone knew what the game was. I just didn't want it in my record. And unfortunately, I never found out if they changed anything in the record for it. It just is what it is. I was gone from there in another year and a half. And we just moved on with life. That's when I decided to go independent. Now, I just wrote an article on one of my blogs, which I'll link to up here in the eye area, wherever that is. It's this side here. Where I talked about why there's a lot of people who share other people's content. And we're told we should share other people's content in social media. And I do that on Twitter. Every once in a while I do it on LinkedIn, but I do it a lot on Twitter. And people come up with, well, you should share other people's stuff more than you share your own. But you know what? The people who are really successful on social media are people who not only are sharing their stuff most of the time, but some of them, they're only sharing their own stuff. Now, I'm not that selfish. I read a lot. I love to share things I find with a lot of other people. But I make sure that during the day, I am putting out enough of my own stuff. Heck, I've got a bunch of it. It goes back for years. So I'm sharing my own stuff at the same time. And I still have time to share other people's stuff because that's just how that is. On LinkedIn, I'm doing an experiment this week, which I'm probably going to write about, where I am basically sharing something 3 days a week instead of just a normal 1 day during the week. Why am I doing that? Because I did my own little test and I found out that the people who are really successful on LinkedIn, you see their names all the time in the stream, they're probably promoting upwards of 20, 25 times a day. It sounds like a lot. It really does. One, I'm betting they're not doing it themselves. They're paying someone else to do it. But two, it's working for them. It just is. I mean, when you look at how LinkedIn does stuff, which like I said, I'm going to write about it in more detail. But when you look at how their stuff works, it seems that if people interact with anything, LinkedIn says, whoa, whoa, and they expand it. By the way, Facebook does the same thing. So you have to be willing to market yourself. You have to be willing to talk about the good things you do. Make it relative to what you're hoping that people might pay you for or contact you for to do stuff. Or if you're looking for people to come to your blog or visit your YouTube channel, talk about some of that stuff that you've done. Look here. What am I up to now? I'm almost at 450 videos on this channel. Maybe 400. I think I have more likes or more subscribers than videos, or I think it's kind of close. It doesn't matter. The thing is that I can sit here and say that I've been doing videos since 2009 or 2010. No, it is 2009. That's right. This would be 10 years of at least putting some kind of videos out here on this channel and my other channel. And I'm still doing it. I may not have the thousands of people, which I'm shooting for. So, of course, I'm going to ask those of you who are looking the first time, if you like this kind of thing, you like it, subscribe to it. Check that little bell so you'll know every time I put out a video. But you have to at least learn how to talk about yourself. You can't be shy. You must do it. If you're working a regular job and you want to get a promotion, you need to make sure when those folks do those reviews or those evaluations that you let them know, by the way, I did this, I did this, I did this. Because if you're relying on them to know what your good works are, you're probably not going to get there unless you've been so great that they just can't miss it. Which is something that you should go for, by the way. I'm just saying. Anyway, that's what I got. My name is Mitch Mitchell. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. I'm out.